Hey guys, Scott from MMBClub.com here.
And Seth from theshrinkingpastor.com.
Together, the three of us, we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. And well, guess what I forgot to do? Take one.
We don't ever use that. Keep going.
Well, we do it during Tobacco Advent.
Nah, not really.
We do. So we're back in the shop.
I always make sure to edit that part out.
Probably so.
I'm going to leave it in today, though.
Full disclosure, I have been dealing with, and if you watch the MMBClub channel or follow me anywhere on social media, you know I've been dealing with a sinus infection the last probably pushing 2 weeks right now. And I'm going to smoke my pipe tonight, but I have been avoiding it because it's killing me. I got to remember to stop and get some denatured alcohol. No, not denatured alcohol. What is that?
Distilled water?
Distilled water.
You
my
probably
brain,
don't
my
wanna...
brain is so misfiring too. I don't know if it's the medicine or the sinuses. I want to use my neti pot, which I haven't used ever since I heard how much bacteria is in the water here.
Probably don't want to use denatured alcohol for that.
Probably not.
Get some Everclear or some cheap vodka to run through your sinuses. It'll clear you out, that's for sure.
Yeah, I bet it would. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully I got to get this thing out of my head. It's making my brain foggy between that and the medicine I'm taking. Anyway, to start this off,
Your brain's always been foggy.
I know. I did a yabo on the MMBClub channel of my brand new pipe from Dodif, and boy hasn't seen this yet.
I'm not.
So check this out. What Dodif has done is he saw the Mark Twain pipe and immediately thought, you know, that shape is almost the same shape as a volcano pipe that has a broad bottom and a small top. So he's done this.
Been accused of that before.
Check this out.
Nice.
And he did it in cobalt, which is absolutely gorgeous. So drilled through what was the bottom, put a plug in what was the top, treated that top edge. You know, when these come from Missouri Meerschaum, they're relatively smooth. He created almost like a plateau surface on it.
That's cool.
And he stamped it with the D for Dodif.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with this. He posted a picture of this on Instagram and said it was available in his Etsy store. Well, I fumbled around with my iPad and couldn't figure out how to get the thing ordered through Etsy with my iPad. When I finally jumped on a computer to do it, it had already sold. So I sent a message to Dodif saying, the next time you make one of those, please set it aside. And he did. Here it is. In addition to that, he surprised us with some tobacco. So,
sweet.
Today's tobacco we are going to be smoking from Dodif is... Oh, no, I don't have a note. I think he calls this...
Mystery tobacco!
I think he calls it something like 24 karat. Something like that.
All right.
So, I'll be breaking in my new Dodif pipe. What are you smoking in?
I've got an oldie but a goodie.
It's a Basil.
It is a Basil.
Basil Meadows pipe.
Yeah. Not smoked this in quite some time.
Red Dog pipes. Yep, we got that. Speaking of the Taps show, we got that when we met Basil.
At Taps.
Been a couple years now.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe even 4 years ago, before we started Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
Long before Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
Back when I was known as Boy from that MMBClub channel.
Hey, Dodif, thank you for removing the filter. I was afraid I was going to have to do that myself. So, a couple things to talk about. Wait, you got something to do first. Dodif, I thought you were going to play a trick on me. I thought you were going to send me some Lane 1 Q. It's not.
He says with the confidence of a man who smoked his own weight in Lane 1 Q.
It may be in there as a base or something. I picked up something recently on Amazon. It was one of their deals of the day, I think. And boy knows that I'm really, really concerned about the zombie apocalypse. Are you caught up on Walking Dead?
I am. Caught up last night.
Oh yeah, what do you think? Don't give anything away, but what do you think?
I'm real excited.
Yeah.
Because they are appear to be sticking to the comic book.
Oh.
And
Then we know what that means.
to not give anything away, things are going to get bad. Things are going to get real bad, and it's going to be awesome. I was...
Well, one character in particular that people will be upset when he goes.
maybe.
I think his
I think they might
storyline
do it
is kind
differently,
of
though.
played out.
I think so, but they like to... One of the things that I like about The Walking Dead is they stay 80% true to the comic book. So it's great for comic book fans because we have a general idea of what's going on and what's going to happen. But the other 20% is also great and sometimes frustrating for fans of the comic book because they switch things up. So you think you know the direction things are going, and it ends up being completely different, which can be frustrating to the purists, but it's now gone on long enough that it's nice. It's a nice surprise,
So, for example, how much of a character was Daryl in the comics?
Daryl was a bigger character. Oh no, Daryl doesn't exist in the comic books.
Yeah. Brother Merle?
Daryl doesn't exist. They don't exist. One of the bigger ones is what's his face? Rick's best friend, the other cop.
Oh, Shane.
Was there? Yeah, Shane. Shane was in the comic for all of 3-4 comics, 3-4 episodes before he was axed.
He was a couple seasons on the show.
Yeah. So, some of the characters, Andrea in the show or in the comic book is still alive and kicking. In the show she's not. So there have been a lot of changes. And many of them understandable for it being a television show versus comic book. One of the biggest ones is pretty early on in the comic book series, Rick loses his hand.
Which hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened.
Although we did have, what's his nose, lost his leg.
Right. But the reason.
What's his name? The veterinarian. Beth's dad.
Herschel.
Herschel, yeah.
But the reason why Rick loses his hand to a human attack, not a zombie attack, in the comic book, and he does carry around the hatchet for the remainder of the comic series, which he really has only adopted this season. So that's kind of a cool nod to the comic book reader. But then, surprisingly, they've done some things in the show.
Well, how about the red-handled machete?
Right. Well, yeah. So they've done some things in the show that they have not. I was afraid that they were going to shy away from, and they haven't. So anyway, I'm caught up. I'm excited about where the show is going, and like I said, things are about to get dark.
So speaking of
Zombie
apocalypse, I have purchased from Yukon Outfitters a machete of sorts. I again, don't know that you could call this a machete.
I know this one.
Do you?
Yeah.
But check this bad boy out. So it's got a bottle opener.
That's a nice.
Something, yeah. I mean, that's in case someone in the zombie apocalypse takes my pocket monkey, then I'll have this. But it's got.
Unless you take a flight. I don't think that's TSA approved.
Probably not. Maybe it's check in. It's got a pretty aggressive, gnarly looking kind of Japanese style saw blade back on it. This is serrated here, but the rest is a continuous blade. That's kind of pretty, and it's certainly heavy.
Yeah.
So now all I need is a zombie. Or a pumpkin. Pumpkin would do.
Why don't we plan for that?
We'll do that. As soon as we can get our hands on a pumpkin, we'll check this out.
Now, this is not going to have the same fate as this one, is it? Your last zombie apocalypse tool that we de-handled and
then set aside
and haven't touched.
Could happen.
Huh?
Could happen.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just got to feel right, So that's an interesting tool. Let's see, what else has been going on here? In the last week, again, for people who follow me on Instagram, you saw that
Can I just pause a moment and point out the 2 belt loops?
I know.
As if someone is wearing very high pants
And wants to wear
and
it
very low
backwards.
pants.
I believe that's a belt loop, and that would be for like strapping it around your leg.
I just thought this was for two belt people with 2 belt loops.
You know what? People with 2 belts can also use this.
High-waisted pants.
When I first pulled it out, that's the first belt loop I saw on here, and I thought, well, that's going to be stupid. Why would you want to have that handle down? So, anyway, my daughter, who is pregnant with our grandchild number 4.
When did that happen?
It was several months ago.
And it's grandchild number...
For her, it's her and her husband's 4th child, so it'll be grandchild number 6 for us. But she has epilepsy, and she has a form of epilepsy that gets worse with every pregnancy. And my wife was noticing how much time she was spending at our daughter's and working with the kids and all this. And knowing that it was going to get worse and worse, we made the recommendation that perhaps they consider moving in with us. We really didn't have enough room, so we finished the bonus room that's over our garage. And now we have 2 spare bedrooms, Seth and Dana's old bedrooms, plus the bonus room. So last weekend, helped to move them into our house, move them out of their old house, and that involved storage and trips to Goodwill and all this stuff.
They had a substantial rental house, and a full room dedicated to kids' toys and things that had to be moved and put in a storage.
I would say they
significant downsizing.
They had 2,500 square feet, and they are now sharing our 1,800 square feet. So big downsize. Now, this sinus infection was doing a big time number on me this last weekend, and I ended up now twice going to the urgent care to get some medicine for this. But I was more or less useless in helping them get moved in. And the only solace I could give my daughter was, rest assured, when it comes time to move them out, I will be much more helpful.
Yeah.
As I was when you moved out.
About how long are they planning on staying?
We don't have a date. She's due in May. And so, certainly when they got their feet financially back underneath them and, they are comfortable. I'll be honest with you, as much as I dislike my house, I would love to sell them my house and have me move out. I'll take Jandy with me too.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge someday, maybe.
That's kids are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
And it's been a real big challenge for Dana to juggle them because with her epilepsy, she just loses time sometimes. It's a
very odd form of epilepsy.
Right.
None of us knew she had it. She doesn't have. When she has a seizure, basically she's looking at you. You're having a conversation, and especially if the pressure's on for her to make a decision, she just freezes. And you think, quit being so stubborn, Dana.
Right.
And in fact, she's just switches off.
It's like the very worst case of space cadet syndrome.
Yeah. I'm sure I've shared the story, but the most significant situation that happened was she ran into a store to purchase some apples, and her husband was with the kids and pulled up to the curb and let her out and was waiting. She's standing there looking at the apples and trying to decide, should I buy the individual apples, weigh them out? Should I buy the bag of apples? Should I go ahead and get the apples that are pre-sliced? That'd be easier for the kids to eat. And her phone rings and she answers it, and her husband's like, come on, Dana, what's keeping you? And she's like, well, I'm just trying to make a decision here. I've only been in here 5 minutes. And he said, you've been in there 20 minutes. That time just gone. And I can only imagine what it was like for other shoppers in the apple section, having to work around her.
But the one that really scared me was she was going to take out the trash or do something. They've got two or three steps out of their
kitchen into the garage.
Right. And basically was walking through the door and then just is on the floor. Just
when she came to,
has no idea how she got there. Just was going out to the car and is on the ground.
And that was when her 2-year-old was about 6 months, and so she could very easily have been carrying her baby at that point. So anyway,
and doors wide open, the other kids could have gotten out.
Yeah.
So it's a good deal. Good time to have them in the house.
Yeah, I think so too. So something else I want to talk about coming up next weekend. Boy and I are going to be judges at our local Odyssey of the Mind competition. And again, on Instagram, I posted a picture of us while we were at our coaches training or judges training. This is the 3rd time I've done it, 2nd time Seth has done it. But when he did it, he attended it one time while I was judging, and then his judge.
This is my 3rd time.
That's 3rd time judging.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It's your 4th time judging.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've talked about this before, but since these are all starting to go on right now locally, we absolutely, wholeheartedly encourage you to Google that. Google Odyssey of the Mind and your city or your area and see if there's any Odyssey of the Mind activities. It may be too late to volunteer to be a judge, but it's not too late to figure out where it is and to go watch. And
a lot of them still need volunteers. There's people,
sure, all sorts of
things
volunteers
come up and drop out, and you may still find that some near you need judges still.
But to give you an idea, they've got several problems that they're working on, and they have teams that will choose a problem, and they'll go and they'll compete. Sometimes they do more than one problem, but for the most part, they'll focus on one problem. And these kids, the group of judges, there was probably 100 people at this training, would you guess? And there'll be 3 or 4 judges per group. So that'll give you an idea, a sense of how big this is. And this isn't even the state competition. This is our local competition. The winners of that will have the opportunity to go to state. The winners of that will have opportunity to go to it's the world. It's the world's, but it's U.S. If nothing else, go and watch. We'll be judging problem number 1, which problem number 1 is always vehicle related. And the kids have got to create a vehicle, but not only create a vehicle, there's more or less a bit of an obstacle course and a challenge that they have to complete. And what's fun is to watch these kids and how they took a word problem and converted it to real life. And from one team to the next, they will have interpreted the challenge completely different. Our job as the judges is to make sure that what they did is in fact in keeping with the contest, that they didn't get outside help. So these kids, if there's something on their vehicle, they have to have made it or scrounged it or something, and have a good answer for when we ask the questions about it. The last time we did this, we had very clearly some welding that had been done by somebody that wasn't a kid.
Yeah.
And when we asked the kids, so who welded all this up, there was an initial silence, and then not only a kid confessing that it was his dad, but his dad was kind of leaning over, waiting to hear what they were going to say, and realized he was seriously busted. So, and that's fun. Yeah. Because you want the kids to do this in the spirit of the contest. And these kids have been working on this many times since last year. I'm talking like last
August, September.
Last early fall.
Right. And
for them, this has been, they've given up their weekends, they've given up outside activities to do this.
Yeah, it's
very cool.
It's usually spans the school year. It is cool to observe. Like I said, it's probably not too late to volunteer. The other competition that I would recommend that you go and visit is Skills USA.
Yeah.
And those are also students that are competing in trade-related activities. So they might be doing welding, plumbing,
woodworking. I've been a judge in the cabinet making or woodworking portion of that, which is fantastic. But they'll be doing engine repair. They'll have, in our case, at the Coliseum in Greensboro, they'll have semi-trucks that these kids are doing repair work and spot repair. And they've got teams that are competing in fireman-related drills. And there's cosmetology, and there's people that are building walls, masonry work, and putting up whole little buildings in construction. And that's really cool. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that'll also be coming up soon. Skills USA.
Yeah, and working out for a plumbing company, we try to support that because it's sad how woefully underappreciated skilled craftsman work is now, and how it is discouraged many times. And education, higher education has become an expectation. It's expected that students pursue a 4-year degree, find themselves in a lot of debt, and in many cases end up miserable. And we within our industry are predicting to be under supported in the plumbing trade by hundreds of thousands of jobs by 2018, because as the average age starts skewing older, a lot of the skilled craftsmen are aging out, essentially, and they're not being replaced at the same rate. So it's a great opportunity to encourage the craft, and
already well-paid jobs, and will be even more so as time goes by, because there are fewer of them.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the fact that my technicians, most of whom don't have a college education, are already $150,000 ahead of me. They don't have that student loan debt.
Ahead by not having the debt. Gotcha.
They don't have the debt, and then they get to start out in a craft that's going to pay, $100,000 plus potentially, and in doing something that they enjoy and love, and getting to do art.
Well, in the case of plumbing, something that is so necessary for sanitation.
Yeah.
Right.
Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs has a great TED Talk where he talks about the importance of these jobs and how we're doing ourselves a disservice as a society by underplaying their importance. So go and support these kids that are learning how to solve problems and learning how to use their brains, and are going to be leaders. And
don't do what we did, which is year after year catching it on the local news that it had just taken place, and going, oh, I want to look into that. Do it right now. Look into it right now. Participate any way you can, and I think that you're going to have a great time. And you're going to show support then for your community. So anyway, if you do it, report back. We'd love to hear how things go. We're going to be recording next week's episode right now. And so next week, though we will have participated in this, we won't be talking about it with you next week. So we'll catch up with you on this soon. Watch on Instagram and the VolcanoCob Facebook page. I'm sure we'll post some pictures and things about it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make it a great week, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye, guys.